welcome. My name is Kat. This is my channel Kat Can Sew, and welcome to episode 26. I'm on Instagram under Kat Can Sew, and this is my little place where I get to talk about my stitching with people who also enjoy stitching or just watching these things. Today's probably going to be a little bit of a long one because I've had a lot of WIPS this week, but no haul, so that may even it out. This is going to be days 1 through 10 of stitching March Madness, and just a little bit of, whatever. First up, a bit of a life update. Not much has gone on in the last couple of weeks. Did another trip to Disney. Surprise, surprise. I am aiming for like once a fortnight at the moment while I can. It's pretty slow at work right now, so may as well make use of that pass, right? They're charging us an arm and a leg for them, which I got some photos in places I didn't normally do. So here's going to be a couple of them. I did my normal, which is in front of the castle and in front of the Disneyland train station as you walk in. I am going again tomorrow, and currently it is Minnie, not Mickey, for I guess Women's History Month, last week being International Women's Day. So that'll be cool. And then yeah, I just like had a good day at the park. I'm going tomorrow. It is going to be raining, so I'm aiming for later in the day, because 4 or 5 o'clock all the parents with kids are kind of like done, and you can get on a ton of rides with like 10-minute waits. Not necessarily the Star Wars ones, but like I got through like a ton the other week when it was raining, so yay, looking forward to that. I worked on Sunday and I'm working on Thursday, so that's nice. Getting some hours in, especially because we're about 3 or 4 weeks out from starting to get like regular hours, so you do what you can. But Monday was the last day for the Fast and the Furious Supercharged as part of the studio tour, so I did go in and check that out. I also tried some of the butterbeer concoctions. Well, that's not entirely true. I've tried one, and I have one in the fridge waiting for me to try later. They have I didn't take any photos. This is going to be like stock footage, like that Universal posted, of their butterbeer cream puff. It was really good. I got my usual potted cream because that is amazing, and I got some butterbeer fudge. My husband's not a fan, but that means more fudge for me, as well, of course, a frozen butterbeer. So that was fun. I went in and did the studio tour, and then caught up with a friend who was working that day, and we went into Potter. We just chilled in the 3 broomsticks for like an hour and a half before the park closed. If you're in the Universal parks right now, the cream puff is really good and is available in 3 broomsticks in Florida. In LA, I have no idea where it is in Florida. And then there's a ton of merch, but just not my. Some of it's really cute, but it's not necessarily anything I would pick up. But my life is pretty boring right now, so talking about work stuff is where we're at. Bit of a health update. Did the follow up on the cough. Please don't do what I do and let it sit for 2 months. So I saw the specialist for the pulmonologist, and she's like, no, don't wait 2 months to come and see me. Like, email me, like, when it's a problem. We did some fairly heavy dose steroids and antibiotics, and the cough's pretty much gone. But I now own a nebulizer, which is less scary than the ones that I've seen around. It doesn't have a face mask, it's just got like a breathing tube. More inhalers. and more daily medications, but we're trying to get this under control. This is when I had COVID in 2022, it caused asthma, which is like standard for me. When I get a cough, I get asthma, especially if it gets into my chest. Yeah, this has now caused basically permanent asthma, and it gets bad. So especially when I get sick. Yay. Also, if you have issues with your feet, get them checked out as well. I bruised my foot. Turned out to be plantar fasciitis. At least that is a thing that is treatable. I have some exercises. I've been told to get some better insoles. They will arrive tomorrow. And hopefully by the time I am doing 5 days at work, walking for 7 hours, the pain has gone down. I did ice it yesterday when I got home, and I iced it Sunday when I got home, and it seems to have helped. So yay for actually doing things. I'm also finally going to get this checked out. I just put it as like I'm getting old as a dark spot, but it's gotten a little darker. I also got sunburnt on Sunday, so we have some makeup going on today to try and not be bright red on camera. Reapply sunscreen. Don't just put it on in the morning. Reapply, especially when it's finally a good day out. So I have to make an appointment for that one. It's a little bit trickier. So it is what it is. Look after yourselves. Make sure you're taking care of your health. I am terrible at doing that, and what happens is when I do stuff, it tends to be worse than what it could have been. I think that's it. Life, health. Honestly, skip through those sections if you're not interested. I just like sharing. I like pretending people love me. Also, thank you to everybody who has been watching my videos. These last couple have done really well for me. Like, they're not huge numbers by like a lot of people's standards, but they're huge numbers for me. So I want to thank everybody who's been watching them. Like, I don't need big numbers. I'm doing this for me and to everybody who is watching them. I am grateful. This is me having a record of what I'm doing, and I can go back and go, wow, like, I really did get some stitches on that project this week, so that's nice. Let's start with my February stitching totals. I just have to bring up the right screen. So in February I worked on 14 different projects. I had one start and one finish, which was the SAF, the citizenship butterfly that I did. I completed 10 of my wheel goals, which is really neat. There's no like set number on those. It's mostly just me trying to like touch all of my projects. I got 13,015 stitches, and I did no backstitch last month. So, like, that was like double what I had done in January. I've probably got like another 4 or 5 weeks of where I'll get a lot of stitching done. But then we go into FanFest and Grab Ash. June, maybe a little bit, like I may have some time. I may be busy. And then hardcore summer. And then August is like dies off a little bit, like mid-August, and then we're going to Halloween Horror Nights. So I'm getting the good stitches in while I can, because for like most of the next 6 months stitching's not going to be a big thing. It's going to be if I'm in the mood when I get home from work. This year will be the first year I'm doing 5 days a week available, since we went back after COVID. So let's see how I go. And okay, So this week I worked on, I moved my numbers around, I worked on 13 projects. Yeah, so in the last 2 weeks I've worked on 13 projects. 9 of those were for March Madness. Then I had a couple that I did late January, late February, and then there's been a few days where the project that I put in for March Madness wasn't sparking joy. I also, in late February, decided to sign up for, because I was doing the March Madness for fandom, I'm like, well, I may as well do the 25 for 25, because you're aiming to get 2,025 stitches on 25 projects, and you can also use those for weeklies. So I'm like, well, I can like double dip those and then get, you know, a bunch of stitches done on some projects that need some love. A couple of these projects I've had for like over a decade, so I think I've got like 7 projects that date pre-2023. And then so I signed up for that. If anybody wants to check out what my 25 for 25 projects are, I'll put a link to my Google Drive folder in my description, because, you know, it's interesting seeing what people are working on. I've been going through the fandom and checking out people's 25 for 25. That's not always a good thing because enabling much. So let's jump into my stitching. So I'm going to do the projects that I worked on that aren't part of Stitching Madness, and then I will do those 9 projects because I did miss a day. First up, the project I worked on was Cream Sundae. This is a Mill Hill kit. And there we go. Here is the cover image, and here is the where I was at, and here's where I'm at now. So I got 391 stitches. I actually got like 100 and something stitches this morning, and I did like 207 at Disney the other week. So I have finished all of the ice cream at the top. I've got 2 colours left to go in the bowl, which is a light aqua and some white. But I misjudged when I centered this, and I have 1 row to spare on that side. There is another row of the beads are going to go out, 1 more row, so but we're nearly there. This may actually get finished by the next video, depending on basically what happens over the next 2 weeks. It will go with me tomorrow, but I don't know if it'll get worked on, because rain. But, you know, if I end up with doctor's appointments or anything like that, this is my travel project. It kind of goes everywhere with me. Next up, I worked on Pacific Crest Trail. This is by Black Velvet Stitches. I am doing this for a friend who did the trail a couple of years ago, and here is where I was. I was only about 200 stitches in. This is one of my projects on one of my wheels. This is my current 10%. I'm currently less than 1% in. I may have actually finally hit 1%. But I think I'm like 80.8 or 0.9 of a percent. And this is where I'm at. So I got 563 stitches on this. I am working on all of the outline and the trail. I got the top monument, the north monument done. So I'm currently working on, this is where the edge of Washington is, and it will go down from there. California kind of comes out and down, so it is going to be big. I'm doing this on Lascaux by Live and Die LA in 25 count. Lugana 1/1. I'm kind of digging the colours. This is one of the projects that this is part of the reason why I'm kind of actually doing weeklies and the 25 for 25. To get to 10%, I need to do 7,500 stitches. So hopefully the plan is that if I can do this project for the weeklies, like it won't happen this month, but next month, I can get those stitches done in about 4 or 5 weeks. And then hopefully some of my other projects that need to get to 10%, which are also, I've got a couple of projects that need 4,000 or 5,000 stitches to get to that 10%. And then I'm just, getting some decent numbers in some of the older projects and the bigger projects. Next up, I worked on Jolly Soul. This is by the Black Needle Society. So here is where I was, and here is where I am. Magnets work great with the Nurge. They're holding all of the excess fabric up. I had to pull Pacific Crest Trail off because it was under the Nurge. So here is where I'm at. This came up as one of my wheels. I had to do, it was a 2024 start, so 500 stitches. I have 300 stitches left. It has actually come up again on the wheel, on a different wheel, where I need to do like 191 stitches, 192 stitches, 300 left. So hopefully again by next week, this one, or next fortnight, this will be finished as well. I have like 3 colors left, like they're all in the shell. This is being stitched on a 32 count Lugana in the color Lichen. I got the fabric from 123 Stitch. And then my last of my non-stitching madness projects is Quick Stitch Seahorse from Heaven and Earth Designs. The artist is Ching-Chou Kuik. Here is where I was, and here is where I'm at now. I did all in this fin for this one. I did 360 stitches. I'm trying to get to, I've got about 1,000 stitches I need for the current wheel that I'm doing. This one was for its number of stitches left as of the 1st of January. So I needed 10%. Yeah, it's under 10,000 stitches left, so 10%. This is stitched on 16 count Smack the Jellyfish Adia by Live and Die LA. And I don't even remember who that needle mind is from. Midnight Spell, I think. They changed their name. The ones on Pacific Crest Trail, the bottle brush is by Interim Designs, and the corset is by Descent Stitch, I think. Double check. No, Midnight Spell Designs and Inchworm Designs. Okay, so here is my bracket for March Madness. I basically reused last year's bracket with a couple of exceptions because of projects that I had finished, and then just put new projects on. I then discovered that some of these projects aren't sparking joy. I mean, I still want to get the hours on, I still want to get the time in them, I want to get them finished, but I just wasn't feeling it this week, so hence why there's so many projects that I worked on that weren't in this. I mean, I did Jolly Soul on, when did I work on that? I worked on that on the 3rd, and the Seahorse I worked on the 6th, because projects weren't sparking joy. And to be honest, one of the other projects I worked on, a couple of the projects I worked on, I actually kept working on the next day, because they were sparking joy, and not the one that I was supposed to be working on. I'd do enough stitches just to get, you know, some points, but you know how it is. So for day 1 was Pirate Crest by Atomic Tiki Pins, and here is where it was, and here's where I'm at. I got 865 stitches on this. All of those were done on the actual first, and here's where I'm at, and I am so happy with this. I finished the skull and the hat. I finished the swords. I think I finished the gun. I may be missing a color on the gun, and I'm now starting on the flag, and then I will do the gun on this side. So this will come out again on the 17th, so you'll see it again. So the fabric on this is 28 count Lugana in the colorway Parchment from Mandela. So on the 2nd, I worked on the Electrical Parade Mandala, again by Atomic Tiki Pins. Basically everything on my brackets, each pair, is by the same designer. I did 2 things. So here is where it was. I removed all of Elliot. I did start stitching this but it was looking very clunky and very messy, so I restarted 1/2. This is on a 36 count Opal that I crazily dyed black, and here is where I'm at. I got 419 stitches in this, but only 378 were during the day. I think I just finished the length of the thread when I kept going. So the shell is probably about half done now. We're making progress. This project is going to take me forever. Needle minders are from Silks For You, and a series of pins that I purchased. It's a Critical Role Gilmore Glorious pin. That is in the colorway Hela. As I said, we did custom dye that one black. I wouldn't recommend doing a black 36 count linen, but you know, black 36 count opal linen, but it's going to look so good when it's done. I do think I'm going to need to grit it, so I need to find, like, I don't know what color to grit it in, just because those things, nothing's kind of touching, and I'm already having a lot of problems with miscounting. So give me your best, what colors you found have worked best in the people who use the sulky metallics, because that's probably what I'm going to go with. I want something that's not going to split. But the colors I currently have is a purple and a green holographic, and I don't love either of them. And both of those are really hard to see on the black. So send me your best suggestions. I'm probably going to look for a white or a silver, even though there's silver stitches in the project. So we'll see where we're going. So of those two, Pacific Crest Trail, Pirate Crest is moving forward. Next up are my Forbidden Vibraco pair. The first up is Clue, and here's where I was, and here is where I'm at now. I got 479 stitches done in this. There's my card. This linen's a little light, so here we go. I finished the knife in the roof, and I got about half of the windows done. I got like 2 lengths, 1 length of the light blue, which is, I believe, Ballroom. This is stitched on Conservatory by Forbidden Vibraco. This was purchased as a kit, and then all of the colours are also named after Clue. So the dark grey for the mansion is in Resolver, the roof is in Knife. It's got like Colonel Mustard, Mrs. Plum, no, Professor Plum. I think Miss Scarlet's one of the colours as well. Ballroom, Billiard Room, Candlestick, Colonel Mustard, Craft Room, Knife, Library, Mr. Green, Mrs. Peacock, Professor Plum, Rope, Revolver, and Wrench. The colours in that one, so they're pretty cool. I did not, however, stitch on my other project for the 4th. I hadn't updated the pattern in Pattern Keeper, so I'm like, well, I'll do that, and then I'll work on it tomorrow after 4 a.m. and I'm not having to try and like do math. And then we went out for dinner. I worked on Jolly Soul a little bit, again, to try and get those 500 stitches done. And we went out to dinner, and we're like, well, we're doing an early dinner, I'll just stitch on it when I get home. And we didn't get home until after midnight, so I got 0 stitches done on Ever After. It is on my 25 for 25, so we will get some stitches done this year. Clue is not. But so Clue will be coming out again on the 18th. Needle Minder is part of the kit, is Forbidden Vibraco. For my next 2 days, it was Frogwarts from Black Needle Society. So year 1 and year 2. Also, I have removed all of my projects from the floor stand, and they are all now going into either Nurges or Q-snaps, and making my life so much better. I can pull the side-to-side tension in, and it is noticeably improved. So first up is year 1, and I got 221 stitches in. I didn't get very much done. I only actually got 57 stitches done on the day, but I was using it for a prompt, so I needed to get to 200 stitches. And here is where we are at. Again, the fabric's a little light, so let's pull out the card. I got the blue jelly bean done, the potion bottle, the red jelly bean, and that's it. That's all I got done. Oh, and these half dozen blue stitches over here. That's it. That's all I got done. I can't even tell you what I was doing on that day, but it wasn't this. And then year 2, which I worked on the 6th, I got 419 stitches done, and I actually got all of those done during the day, and I finished the burrow, and I completed the fort angular, and I have started on the bubbles for the cauldron. My goal on this is to get these 2 finished by Frogwarts next year, with the goal then by the end of Frogwarts next year all of it is done. I don't have to touch it ever again. It's just a lot. So I have finished years 3 through 5, though I am doing some back stitching because a lot of the white blends in. So yeah. So year 2 will be coming out, so you'll see this again on the 19th. This is stitched on French Vanilla Mistake by Black Needle Society, 28 count, in a custom cut for this fabric. It is the entire length, is the entire yard, or the entire bolt, by like 22 inches or something. And I am stitching that in the combination of Etoile, DMC, and the Fancy Floss. Doing DMC in places does make sense to do the Fancy Floss. Day 7, I worked on Rapunzel in Racoco by Heaven and Earth Designs. The artwork is by Jasmine Beck Griffith. I got a page finish on a page I have been working on for over 12 months, possibly over 2 years, because when I looked at my photos from when I uploaded it into StitchPal, I was working on this page. I did start this in 2020, and either 2020 or 2021, and I worked on it pretty solidly for the first year, and I got like halfway done, and then I barely worked on it like the last 2 years. I don't think I worked on it all like since February last year. So here is where we're now at, and this page is now done. This filigree in this corner was just so much confetti. There are still lengths. I literally finished the square and didn't go back and pull out the lengths. I'm going to finish as many of these as I can, and then we're going to start up in her face when this one is actually going to be the one that came out. I've got 1,055 stitches total. I got 768 stitches done on the day for March Madness. I just really wanted to finish that page. Like, really wanted to finish that page. So I worked on this again the following day. So we're getting there. This is stitched on like light mocha 36 count Edinburgh I got from 123 Stitch, 2/2. So we're getting there. This will come out, this one got the most stitches, so this will come out again on the 20th. And then maybe the next page shouldn't be as terrible. It is mostly face and hair. I think we start some filigree down in this corner. The next row of pages has a ton more of the filigree, but then the last couple of pages should go fairly quickly because it's a low block. But I mean, it looks so good. So many stitches. Needle minders are Black Needle Society, Silks for You, and Ginger Stitch AU. On Frogwarts, they are... I'm trying to get better at remembering this. All this work, I went to folding it. Black Needle Society and Lichen. So next up is Bookworm Fairy by Hannah Lynn, from Heaven and Earth Designs. This one I got 179 stitches done during the day. I got 266 stitches because I finished out the length of thread I was working on. And here is where I'm up to now. And I got the brown in this wing finished. I started a little bit more here, and then I did a couple of colours in the outside of the lantern. Unfortunately with this project, every time I work on it, unless I do really big numbers, because of the way I stitch, you never really see much. Like a lot of what I was doing was colours that are like the edges of the brown. But, you know, every stitch counts. We're getting there. So yeah, I've now finished the brown outline in these pages, and I'm working on the brown outline in this page here, which I do every time I basically finish a square. Though I am trying to be a little bit more like mooding on that, purely because I really do want to get more progress done on the picture. Needle minders are from Descent Stitch and Inchworm Designs. And is stitched on a 28 count Jaslyn in Unknown Green from Stitches and Spice. So I put all the Inchworm Design minders on my projects after I did my list, and so they're not listed as who they're from. Last but not least, my last bracket that I worked on is the Mill Hill series. First up, I worked on Advent set 3. I have done sets 1 and 2, and I got 131 stitches done on it during the day, but it was on one of my wheels, so I actually got a total of 775 stitches done. I have now completed all of the stitching in 4 of the blocks, and I'm 2 colours in on the 5th block. There are 8 blocks plus a slightly bigger block, which gives me a total of 26 when they're all done. So do want to get this done by the end of the year, so that way I can make it into a actual advent. And then the last project is the Turtle, again by Mill Hill. And here's where we're at. I got 256 stitches on this. I basically put in like a couple of months. I worked on it for a couple of hours, and then I went back to the other one just because I wanted to get like it off the I got more stitches done in the Turtle. The Turtle will come out again. Let's get what I can on the advent set, and then it's can go away for the rest of the month. So I filled in some more of the blue. Basically I did what I had left of a length, which was 4, and then I came over and started working on the head of the turtle and started on this foot over here. So this one got 256 stitches, which means it will come out again on the 21st, which will be before the next video. So yeah, and then I've set up Anzac and Death by Cross Stitch, which are my next 2 projects. I did not stitch on Anzac yet today. I will stitch on that this evening when I finish editing. I probably am not going to get a ton of stitches in it. I've got a feeling Death by Cross Stitch is going to get more stitches. But all up, I'm pretty happy with how I went. I've got like 6,000 stitches done this week, this fortnight. 6,551 stitches I got done in the last 2 weeks. So pretty happy with that. Considering, you know, like 800 stitches were done on one project and 1,000 on another. So tell me how your March Madness is going, how your projects are going. Do the YouTubey things. Like, comment, subscribe. I don't have any haul. I'm gonna go edit this. It's gonna be a long one. Sorry guys. Well, actually, if you made it to the end, you're already aware of that. Find your jam, do what you love, and I'll see you in a couple of weeks.